This is Princetown, where the cows outnumber people by 100 to 1. Now, Princetown literally is a battered old signpost, a store and a very windswept football ground. Hardly the setting you'd think for a revolution which could actually save Australian rules football across the country. Now, to get from one end of Princetown to the other is one small step for man. But down there, they're taking a giant leap for football.
Princetown stars are happy when they are on the spree.
Princetown are a nondescript mob in a forgettable competition called the Heytesbury Mountain Noorat League, where the coastline is far more spectacular than the footy. But even in this tiny pocket of southwest Victoria, there are blokes being paid thousands of dollars. All over the bush, clubs are forking out big bucks to keep themselves competitive, or to buy a flag. And not far from here in the Hampden League, one ex-AFL player is reportedly being paid $30,000 just for a season of country footy.
There's two things can happen. You can buy a side for the finals, and you can have them for a year, and then they fold or their players go somewhere else. You can create a community club, and a strong club, you'll still get to your finals, and you'll still have a club going in 10 years' time.
When John and Diane Curran took over a motel at Princetown this year, John offered to coach the battling footy team on one condition.
There, Cadillac. Ciao.
That no one, not even the coach, got paid.
At first, I think they wondered what it was all about.
But John's reasoning was that along this area called the Shipwreck Coast, the footy clubs had well and truly landed themselves on the rocks. The 12 Apostles are this region's tourist landmark, but due to weathering there are now actually only 8, or some say 9. And in the football world, well, the Heytesbury League over this way used to have 8 clubs, and the Mountain Noorat League had 6. Last year they combined, but only 9 of the 14 clubs survived. And next year that might be just 6 or 7. So this whole region has lost 8 football clubs and 4 apostles. And just as the original 12th apostle sold out for a tempting offer, money has poisoned this district's footy.
I believe it's destroying it because there's two things in country footy. If you pay players generally and you pay a number of players, it tends to destroy the club. Therefore, you can have a good side one year paid and possibly a premiership side, but next year those players go somewhere else looking for another dollar or a better dollar or get other offers.
Just how a footy club can be shipwrecked, well, you need to go only a few kilometres to the coast's biggest town, Port Campbell, where they also had the league's oldest footy club. Now next year will be Port Campbell's centenary. What a pity though that after paying players for a few years, Port folded last year. And there won't even be a team to have a centenary.
We've got a lot of players coming from a long way away with very few locals playing anymore.
And they won't play for nothing anymore?
Oh, you get the few that play for nothing, but most of them, you go and try and recruit a player, most of them will always say, you know, how much do you have club insurance and that sort of stuff. It's just becoming too hard to get players. They're asking too much money, I feel.
So while the grass grows on the Port Oval, their president and local copper goes up the road to coach the seconds at nearby Heytesbury. Meanwhile, at Little Princetown, they've gone back to grassroots.
Everyone will play where their hearts lay, where they've played all their footy, rather than playing for the ultimate dollar, to play each week to get a few more bucks in your pocket.
Fang and most of Princetown are dairy farmers, so they train after the cows are milked, often at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. But when John announced his policy of no pay, rather than lose players, he found that many who hadn't played for years wanted to come back. But football socialism isn't the only radical scheme that's hit these blokes.
Shouldn't be laughing, smiling or otherwise.
John had been a police special operations group instructor in Melbourne, and when the Bush Telegraph heard what he was doing at Princetown, well, this was brainwashing.
Don't get deterred by the other things around you.
Look straight into your opponent's eyes. Look through him. If you're laughing, you're not looking through him. Look through him. Think about it. Look past him. Right through him. Come on, concentrate. Required to do it for 100 minutes of the game. Come on, look straight through him. Come on, think about it, fellas. If you get distracted now, you'll get distracted in a game.
Drift away and relax.
Then when they found out what Diane was doing to the boys in broad daylight,
To everything.
well, some said that Princetown had become Jonestown.
You are a team. A team called Princetown Football Club. You play football as a team that can win any game that you want to.
The first time that Diane tried her relaxation therapy,
You will
she had
win.
Fang and the boys purring like, well, the very next day, they beat a team which pays its players a reputed $30,000 a year.
You will kick that ball further than you have ever kicked before. Keep the ball moving towards those goals. Goals are what win the game.
These blokes have never felt this or had it before, and even if the only payoff is that when they're uptight with their milking and their cows in the morning, they go and put on a bit of music and they can utilise the facility. But I believe it helps them as
Hope we don't
footballers.
see a lot of cows laying on their backs all around the countryside.
Well, I might get a big job then, mightn't I?
Believe in yourself. You can do it. You are the best at anything you try.
Did you keep a straight face?
Yeah.
Did you?
First time. Oh, no, it was pretty hard. First time.
Run on and want that ball no matter what. All right, fellas, you can do it. Do you want to do it? Yes! Come on, fellas, do you want to do it? Yes! Get out there and do it!
So taken were they by this relaxation therapy that 5 games into this season, Princetown appointed Diane coach of the seconds.
Well done, GT. Long kick. To Moose.
And of course, she doesn't get paid either.
11-6 to 3-2. That's the score, fellas.
Come on, fellas. Gotta finish it off. Team not over.
Best game of footy you've played all season. This time, are you going to be rough, Rog? Yeah.
And
you're
you're
right.
Playing a great game, Rog.
Look for your overs and your sentiment on Fitzy and knock it down to him if you can. A lot of the
One of Diane's most devoted followers is Princetown's club president, Wombat Saunders.
Like we've got our president, vice president, junior vice and secretary, we're all players. So the players really run the club.
So in this homespun do-it-yourself footy, you'd be astounded to learn how much some clubs are actually paying players.
So I know blokes down here that are getting $4,000 or $5,000 a year. Now,
4,000 or 5,000.
That's a hell of a lot of money to be paid just to play football in this league.
Won't it
you know.
cripple country football, that sort of money?
Ultimately, I think it will.
Princetown's opponent today is Scott's Creek. They expect to turn over $80,000 this season. Yet only 5 of the players are actually from Scott's Creek. And next year, the club is likely to fold.
Really, it's like a cat chasing its tail, really. You know, which end do you start on? You know, you pay players just for a game, and then you've got to raise money to pay the players, and at the end of the year, you're no better off than where you were.
Well done, Fang. Go, Fang!
The 2 club presidents man the scoreboard, that is, after they've played in the seconds. And this match between the team that costs $80,000 and the one that costs between 10 and 15 is for a place in this season's Final 4.
Good stuff. Well done.
It's not about premierships down here. It's about winning, and if you can get a premiership and you build strongly, you'll get your premiership. But it's more about your social and your community enjoyment out of it. And here we have 36 players, all living in the same community, all doing the same thing, all knowing each other, all being able to relate to each other, and there's your community.
In this windswept battle of the backlines, Fang and Gassy are tight in defence for Princetown. Jungle's on top in the ruck, and Bocker and Baldy are crowd pleasers. And at three-quarter time, Princetown trails by 10 points.
Now, everybody's got to really want this from their heart. Come on, you want it.
It's the matter of whether we can just get that goal and, got one goal one, I think so.
I wish at the moment you had a high price to fly in the...
Nah, stick with these blokes. These blokes give everything.
When the siren finally sounds, the scoreboard shows a draw. But in the best traditions of bush footy, the scoreboard is wrong.
8-7 to 7-14. 1 point to Scott's Creek.
Beaten by a solitary point. But somehow the disappointment of not making the finals is lost in the hip-hip hoorays, the handshakes, the commiserations, and perhaps, though theirs is no fairy tale, the knowledge that they've played for no other reason than the pleasure of being a country football team.
It's gone back to being true country footy. It's amateur footy, isn't it, really? You're doing it for the enjoyment of it, you're doing it to be part of the community and for socialising, and that's what, to me, country footy is all about.